I don't even know if I was asleep. One moment I was in my bed. The next, I was floating above it. My chest was rising, my heart was still beating, but I wasn't inside anymore. I looked at my own body, still, pale, lifeless, and then something pulled me. It wasn't light. It was heavy, like chains dragging me through the floor. Darkness swallowed everything. No sky, no earth, just endless black. And then I saw him. Not a costume, not horns like cartoons. A presence that bent the air, darker than shadow, older than time. His eyes burned, not red, not orange. Something that felt like hatred made visible. My knees buckled, though I had no body to kneel with. And in that moment, I knew this was Satan, and he knew my name.
Some dreams don't feel like dreams. They feel like doors. Tonight, you'll hear what happens when one man's soul stepped out of his body and stood face to face with the enemy of God himself. This is Davis's
My
story.
name echoed in that darkness, but it wasn't spoken the way you or I would speak it. It was carved into the air, like fire scratching across stone. I wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The blackness stretched forever, and his presence filled it all. He didn't have to move. Just existing, he made me feel small, like dust under his heel. Yet somehow, I knew he could crush me in a moment. But he didn't. Instead, he smiled, and that smile, if you've ever seen hatred smile, you'd never forget it. "So, you finally left your shell," he said. His voice wasn't one sound, it was thousands. Some whispering, some screaming, some mocking. It filled me like poison seeping into my thoughts. I tried to cover my ears, but I had no hands. I realized I wasn't in my body, yet I felt every word as if it were injected into my soul. I stammered, "Who are you?" But I knew. Deep down, I knew. The one the scriptures call the deceiver, the dragon, the accuser, the one who fell from heaven. This was him. Satan leaned forward, and the darkness bent with him, as though it bowed to its king. He said, "I've been waiting. You thought your prayers, your little faith, your fragile light would keep me away? Number. You belong here more than you think." I wanted to shout the name of Jesus, but the moment I tried, my tongue, or whatever I had in that realm, froze. The word stuck, and I realized this was a battlefield where names carried weight, and he wanted to silence me. Then he raised his hand, and suddenly the darkness around us split open like torn cloth. And what I saw, I wish I could erase. Cities, our cities, burning. People screaming, but no sound came out. Flames without heat, shadows without light. Streets folding in like paper, buildings crumbling without touch. And at the center of it all, a throne. Black stone, jagged, alive, like it was breathing, and chained to that throne were countless faces, faces of people I recognized, people I'd seen alive back on Earth. Some were neighbors, some were strangers. Their eyes pleaded with me, but their mouths were sealed shut. Satan whispered, "Do you see? This is mine. This is always mine." And the chains rattled louder, echoing like thunder. I cried, "No, you can't have them." But he laughed, and the laugh shook me apart. My very soul trembled as though I was about to scatter into pieces. My soul felt like it was tearing apart. His laughter wasn't like anything human. It was sharp, endless, like metal grinding on stone, and it sank into me until I wanted to cover my own spirit. I shouted, "You're lying! You don't own them!" My voice cracked, but in the darkness it sounded small, like a candle in a hurricane. That's when he leaned closer, and his eyes, they weren't fire, they were worse. They were emptiness so deep that when I looked into them, I saw every fear I had ever tried to bury. I saw my mistakes, my sins, my shame. They replayed in front of me like they were alive. Times I failed, times I was weak, times I gave in to temptation. He smiled as though each memory was a trophy. "You see," he hissed, "they gave themselves to me, and so did you." I screamed back, "No, I belong to God." But my words sounded weak, trembling. That's when he stretched out his hand again, and suddenly I was dragged to the edge of a pit. I can't explain the pit. It wasn't just fire. It was alive. Millions of screams without mouths, hands reaching out of flames, shadows climbing over shadows, never escaping. The stench of sulfur, decay, hopelessness. It wasn't just in the air, it was inside me. I felt despair gnawing on me like teeth. The pit pulsed, and every pulse said one word: forever. I knew what it meant. I knew if I fell, I wouldn't come back. I cried out again, this time with every ounce of strength I had. Jesus! And for a moment, the smallest moment, the darkness flinched. Just for a breath, his grip loosened. Satan snarled. The sound of his anger was worse than his laughter. It was hatred unveiled. He spat, "Don't you dare say that name here!" Then the darkness shifted, and I saw something. Light. At first, it was so faint I thought I imagined it. But the more I looked, the brighter it grew. It wasn't the fire of the pit. It was different. Pure, white with gold woven in it. Satan's eyes narrowed. He turned his face away from it, as though it burned him. And then I saw him. A figure in armor, gleaming, wings stretched wider than the pit itself. A sword in his hand that looked like it could cut the night in half. His voice rang like thunder. But it was filled with peace, not terror. He said only one thing: enough. The darkness shook. The chains rattled. The pit roared as though it hated what was happening. And Satan, this being who moments ago looked invincible, took a step back. His smile was gone. His face twisted into rage. He shouted, "This one is mine!" But the angel raised his sword, and light split across the void. I shielded my eyes, though I had no body to shield with. And then I knew. This was Michael, the archangel, the protector, the warrior of heaven. He lifted me, pulling me away from the pit, away from Satan, away from the darkness. As he carried me upward, I could hear Satan's voice trailing below, hissing my name with venom, promising he would return. I woke up in my bed with tears streaming down my face, gasping for air like I had drowned and just reached the surface. When Michael lifted me, it felt like being carried by the wind, yet also like being held in the strongest arms. His presence was overwhelming, but not in the way Satan's was. Michael's strength didn't crush me, it steadied me. Where Satan's darkness drained me, Michael's light filled me. We rose higher and higher through the void, and for a moment I thought I was safe. But then the air cracked again, and shadows clawed at us from below. They weren't human, but they wore faces. Faces twisted, like masks, half melted, some laughing, some screaming. They screeched my name, each one in a different tone. I shouted, "Michael, what do they want from me?" His voice thundered, "They want what belongs to God. But they cannot take what is sealed by his name." The shadows writhed, burning as the light around Michael grew brighter. Yet even as they fell back, I saw something horrifying. They were countless, more than I could ever imagine. And they weren't only clawing for me, they were clawing for everyone. Michael carried me higher, and suddenly the darkness parted, and what I saw, I can't erase. I saw the earth, not from a distance like a globe, but close, alive, cities glowing like veins of light in the night. But as I watched, some of those lights flickered and went out, one by one, entire regions dimming until they disappeared into darkness. I gasped, "What's happening?" Michael said, "The war has reached your world. Their choices are tipping the scales." I looked closer and saw figures in every city, some shining with light, others covered in shadow. Angels and demons moving unseen among people, some whispering hope, others sowing despair. I realized every street, every home was a battlefield, though no one around me could see it. Then Michael pointed his sword downward, and the vision shifted. I saw America. its flag torn, waving in a storm, its buildings trembling, and then I saw Satan's hand hovering above it, massive, reaching like a shadow ready to crush. Michael's voice grew fierce. This land has been given time, but time is burning. Every soul that slumbers is a door left open. I trembled, tears streaming. Is there hope? I asked. Michael looked at me with eyes that burned, not with anger, but with fire from heaven itself. He said, "Hope is never lost, but it must be chosen. By you, by them, by all who hear." The vision shifted again. I saw churches, but many were dark, their lamps extinguished. I saw people praying, but their prayers turned into smoke that vanished before it rose. And yet, I also saw small gatherings, hidden in homes, in streets, in secret. Their prayers were fire, and their fire drove back shadows like an army. Michael's sword blazed brighter as he said, "The faithful are few, but their cries shake the heavens. Tell them, awaken, for the enemy roars, but his time shortens with every prayer that rises." And then I saw Satan again, towering over a ruined city. His laughter returned, but this time it was angrier, sharper. He bellowed, "I will silence them all." He raised chains, ready to throw them across nations. Michael blocked his path, slamming his sword into the ground, and the earth itself shuddered. Lightning split the sky, not earthly lightning, but divine fire. And in that flash I saw armies, armies of angels behind Michael, standing like an endless wall of light. Still, Satan sneered, "You can't protect them forever. They love me more than you know." Michael didn't answer him. Instead, he turned to me. "Wake up, Davis. Speak what you saw. Warn them." The moment he said that, everything dissolved. The darkness, the armies, even Michael himself. I jolted awake, my body covered in sweat, my chest heaving as though I had run for miles. But his last words didn't fade. They're still in my ears now. Wake up. Speak. Warn them. I thought it was over when Michael's voice told me to wake up, but I didn't. I closed my eyes in the dream and opened them again to find myself standing in a place I had never imagined. The ground beneath me was black glass, cracked like a shattered mirror. Each crack glowed with fire, and when I looked into them, I saw rivers of souls, flowing, screaming, struggling, but never escaping. Their cries weren't like human voices, they were the sound of despair itself. Above me, the sky was a storm that never ended. Clouds twisting like serpents, lightning flashing red instead of white. And in that sky, shapes moved, winged, deformed, hideous things that shrieked whenever the lightning exposed them. I fell to my knees and cried, "Lord, where am I?" And then I heard a voice, not Satan's, not Michael's. A voice like rushing water, yet still, steady. It said, "You are seeing what few are shown. The valley of choices refused." I turned, but there was no figure, only the voice. It guided my eyes to the ground where I saw paths, countless paths, leading down into that valley. Each one bore names, carved like smoke, lies, greed, pride, hatred, lust, doubt, unbelief. And people walked those paths willingly, never looking up, never turning back. I wept. I saw young faces, old faces, even children, all marching toward chains they didn't even see. Some laughed as they walked, others looked numb, as though their souls had already gone silent. I cried, "Why won't they stop?" The voice replied, "Because they chose shadows over light. And shadows reward them for a moment before they devour them forever." Suddenly the vision shifted. I was lifted above the valley and brought to a mountain of light. The contrast was beyond words. Here, the ground was not burning, but alive, like golden stone that pulsed with warmth. The air carried songs, songs that felt like they were sung inside me, not just around me. And on that mountain, I saw gates, massive, radiant, carved with jewels. From inside poured light so pure it felt like truth itself. I could hear voices, millions of them, crying, "Holy, holy, holy." I wanted to run there, to fall at those gates. But the voice said, "Not yet. Your race is not finished. Your time has not come." I asked, trembling, "Then why show me this?" The voice replied, "So you may warn them that the valley is real, the mountain is real, and the choice is theirs." My vision shifted again, this time to America. I saw its map burning at the edges like paper in fire, states darkening, cities trembling. I saw leaders arguing, their mouths moving, but serpents coiled around their throats. Words were being twisted before they reached the people. Then I saw ordinary men and women, working, eating, scrolling on their phones, completely unaware that shadows clung to their backs. Some shadows whispered into their ears, and they obeyed without question. But I also saw pockets of light, small groups kneeling in prayer, hands lifted, tears streaming. And wherever they prayed, flames rose that pushed back the darkness. It wasn't numbers that mattered, it was fire. A handful with true fire burned brighter than thousands with empty words. The voice said, "This nation stands at the edge. It will either awaken, or it will fall asleep forever." And then I saw Satan again, but this time not in the pit. He stood over a great clock, ancient and massive, its hands moving faster and faster. He laughed and said, "Time is mine now. They've wasted it, and I will collect it." I shouted, "Michael, where are you?" And suddenly the angel appeared again, sword blazing, striking the clock. Sparks flew as the hands froze for a moment. Michael looked at me and said, "Tell them, they still have time, but not much." The vision began to crumble, the light and darkness swirling together, until I felt myself being pulled back. I heard the voice one last time. "Davis, you are alive to testify. If you stay silent, their blood will be upon you. Speak." And then I woke up. My chest ached like I had been screaming for hours. My hands shook. But I knew. This wasn't a dream. It was a warning. And not just for me. For everyone.
Take a moment. Let it sink in. What Davis saw wasn't just his dream. It's a reminder to every single one of us that the battle is real and time is short. But the choice is always ours. If this opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Talk about it. And if you want more stories, more visions, and more truth unpacked, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Until then, stay watchful, stay strong, and remember, you are never fighting alone.